Not that we were deceased prior to this and we're just coming back. That would be a whole different story. Easter's coming though. All that said, welcome to March 4th, 2026, Phoenix Business Exchange. How the heck are you? And you know what? It's a business networking group. I'm going to share a screen, show you how to come on into the space. You're going to go to a website called pbx.ca. So P, B, and E, and then X, then .ca. Come on in. There's little red buttons. You press the red buttons. You come down the rabbit hole of getting connected and finding out who's out there helping you promote your business. We meet. I'm going to share the screen first before I start describing everything because then it makes it a little easier. So, folks, if you are a Phoenix member to start off with, send your stats into Tony because it is that time. That we do that top of the month. We always send that in, and you should be seeing the screen. Top books to read for success. Patricia's e-card. And you know what? What does Patricia do? She sells Melaleuca products. She's from the Tuesday. We meet once a month, which I'll get into in a second. We meet once a month, and she's the member inside that group. Monday morning, Bell's Corners meets between 8 and 9. Today's Wednesday, go figure. 8 to 9, click here, and you come on into the meeting. Thursday morning, same deal, 8 to 9 Eastern, and that's the South End group. Thursday afternoons between 1 and 2, midday. So if you're between sessions. Now, this is going to be updated soon because February 24th, that's gone by, and we're not talking 2027 numbers here. So in this particular case, it's going to be the last Tuesday of the month. But click this, it'll take you into that. And that group is hosted by Penny Lee Prevost, and she does accountability. In other words, help you stay on target, whether it's to lose weight, grow more hair, or less hair, as the case may be, or if you have business goals you want to stay on target with. Upcoming member events, or click here, see what's happening out there. Some of us host special events that come and go, but they're memorable. Canada Growth Network, that's free to attend, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ace Trade Wins is on the Tuesday morning between 8 and 9 Eastern Standard Time. Guest speakers for both Canada Growth and East Trade Wins are from across the globe. Again, free to attend. East End is meeting at Hive. It says February 25th. We're going to do this March 18th. So you're more than welcome to come in. It's at 1745 Courtwood. Got a great breakfast. Trust me, Sam can attest to that because he was there last week, and our bellies were full. Actually, we were content when we left. And yeah, and you take it from the skinny guy. South End Group, River Lounge. They'll meet in person. So both these dates are in person, 7:30 a.m. both in person and online. All right. River Lounge is going to be the last Thursday of the month. And come on in. And it's a really good location. It's just off of Prince of Wales, south of Hunt Club. What else we got here? Canada Food Cupboard. That's the charity of choice. And what's been going on? Well, the e-cards. You'll see the QR code over my shoulder. And the whole purpose behind that is someone can scan it, or you have a link to your electronic business card. That makes it easier for people to find you, connect with you, and know more about you. Close to $5 million worth of business done since 2016, just between members of Phoenix Business Exchange. That's how strong the effort is between members. Now this number here, this is since January, so we got some updates to happen in here. But $5,600 worth of business referrals. So if that's the month of January, it's probably about 5K a month. So that's kind of where we're kind of moving forward. And you know what? I'm going to stop chatting because I've just done a whole bunch of that, and there's only so much glibness I can give you. And I'm going to swing the mic over to Mr. Tony Ginnis.
Oh, thank you, Bernie. I think my sound is on. The other day I was ready and looking at other types of research I've been looking at. Then I came upon an article about sharks. It says that if you put a baby shark, into an aquarium, like at the zoo, but something a lot smaller, it grows to about 8 inches, 8 to 10 inches, depending on the amount of food that's in the tank. And it was interesting because the shark has an equilibrium so that it doesn't want to outgrow whatever food supply might be there. Even if there's lots of food, there's not a lot of space. So it basically grows to the space that it is accustomed to. But you put that same shark in the ocean, and it grows to 8 feet, 9 feet, and more. Why? Because the vastness of what it is, even though there could be the same amount of food, it would never go hungry. The space is very different. The space is more expansive. The space is that I can take on more, and then it grows to what it's meant to do. Sharks have always been 8, 9, 10 feet. But if you put it in a smaller environment, it adjusts. And so do we. We are the same thing. We hang around with people with limited beliefs, and we're always looking at the past, the good old days. Not there's anything wrong with that, but when we live there, like, oh, it was so good, back in those days. I wish we were there because life seems so much easier. Things weren't so much expensive. That kind of talk may be relevant. However, what it does is moving forward becomes harder. Moving to do the same thing in this environment is harder. And it actually starts shrinking your energy from that perspective of energy. But it also starts changing the way that you look at things. Everything is limited. Everything is a complaint. Everything is something, that it's only because of this date. It was much better in the good old days when, you could buy a loaf of bread for 25 cents. Might be, but they weren't also making $25 an hour or $20 an hour. When I started in 1970, my first job, I was making $1.85 and happy to get it. So what does that really say about us? It says that time moves on. Things keep going. If you always look at the blessings in front of you, you're going to keep expanding. If you always look at the opportunities in front of you, you're going to keep expanding. And hang around with people that have a more expansive gesture, like Phoenix or other groups that are thinking and planning and looking at things in a different way. There are some things that I still learn, even though I've been in business for almost 50 years. I started my worm business when I was 11, selling worms from my house, minnows at 3 in the morning. Fishermen wanted to go out. So, and it was a growing concern. The first year we didn't do that much, but the 50 cents for a dozen of worms, and I think it's like $2 now or something. But so not a great amount, but I guess worms didn't grow that much in value. But the point is that even now I still learn. If I meet with somebody, and it could be Kat or it could be other people, either in social media or the production industry or whoever, I learned something. And just by something, a couple of words, they said, if you try this, this might work. I said, oh, that's it. I never knew that. And so when we're always looking forward, we're always in that state of expanding. And that's what we're meant to do. We're never meant to stay small. We came out small, but we never meant to stay that way. We're always growing, expanding. And so deal with people that have an expansive mind. Deal with clients that is not always badgering you, and even when your job is done, they're always trying to negotiate down, down, down. If you could do this brake job for half the price, I'll send you a lot of my friends. It says, I'm not sure if I want any of your friends for half that price. So sometimes we have to move on and go with clients that appreciate our services, appreciate the expertise and the amount of work it goes into being fantastic. Because what the things that Jacqueline does and Wendy does, it doesn't happen overnight. The reason, you could do work for a half an hour where others have to spend 2.5 hours doing it is because she spent over 20 years making it so we could shave it down to only 30 minutes. So you're not paying for the hours, you're paying for the years that you're doing the work and the fact that you're expanding. So that's your education for today. Over to you, Bernie.
Oh, Tony, thank you so much. Expanding. Oh my gosh, that's my problem. But in unrelated terms, and you're right.
Three letters. BBQ.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that too. In the chat is our LinkedIn Live. You can tap into the link and post content in the LinkedIn Live chat right now. So we're going to do the quick intros. What's been going on in your week? Any business activity meetings called BAMs or referrals that have transpired? And we'll swing the mic over to Sam, and then we will go to Jacqueline. Sam, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bernie. Good morning, everyone. Sam Sturz, ConnectedCars.ca. There's my contact information in the chat. Dashcam Sam, there's a reason why I do dash cameras. Install them nice and neat to the fuse panel of the car and hide all the wires so there's nothing hanging down in the front of the windshield so the car stays nice and neat and legal because it's not legal to have wires hanging down in front of your eyesight when you're trying to drive. Besides that, I do minor repairs, oil changes, brake jobs. And what I'm talking about this week, two things. One is the weather is getting a little warmer, and I've been telling people I highly recommend that you spray off some of that salt that's been accumulating on your vehicles because when the weather gets warmer, that salt just likes to eat away at all the metal in your car and produce rust. So get yourself out there and go to a touchless car wash or do it by hand and get some of that salt off. The other thing is when it comes to repairs of cars, people are always complaining the cost of repairs. And many of the problems are that cars are much more sophisticated than they used to. Example would be the mirrors, side mirrors in your car. Used to be, say, 20 years ago, all it did was provide a mirror so you could see the side of your vehicle in case there was a car there. Now they have things like lane departure warnings, someone in your blind spot warnings, and they also, if you have an EV, they have little lenses in them that provide that 360 view of your vehicle. And when you have you take that mirror off going into a garage or somewhere, or somebody takes it off in your car, that mirror, what might have cost maybe $100 a few years ago, now costs you three, four, maybe even $500 for that mirror. So be prepared that your vehicle, if it's much more sophisticated than it was before, those repairs are going to add up very quickly. Bumpers are another good example of that too. They have sensors in them now to warn you that you're getting close to items. And one of our Phoenix members called me the other day because she backed up into a snow pile, and now she's got all kinds of warnings going on in her car because I think she damaged one of the two of the sensors there. That's it for me, Sam Sturz, ConnectedCars.ca. Today's mobile electronics without the cost of the vehicle, and lots more.
Any BAMs referrals, Sam?
Let's see here. Well, the one was I was at the Hive you mentioned there last week, and I really
Yep.
enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Free parking, and they had a restaurant right there, right close to the boardroom. That was very nice. I appreciated that, Bernie. And I'll attend another one if we have one there. The other is Terry Fraser. I have a meeting with him after today, or after this meeting, to talk to him about some estate planning. That's it for me. Sam Sturz, Connected Cars.
Sam, thank you so much. Next little promo is for the Canada Growth Power Hour on next Monday. Brent Edwards is coming to talk. He's a networking coach. Actually, he focuses mostly on people that are new to Canada, so immigrants in that space. Jacqueline, what up? What's happening? Other
Well,
than shoulders.
I know, but and not just shoulders, because we took that breath and we lifted the shoulders and we took them back and we released them down, and you thought, it's getting warmer. It's getting warmer. And while it's getting warmer, we're going through a situation in our country, certainly in our province, where we're wondering if our gas prices are going to increase. And we've seen a bit of an increase. Apparently, we should be expecting a sharp increase because of the way and the opportunities that our gas, our fuel will get to us. And so while people might be thinking about gas prices, petrol, they may be thinking about their mortgage prices. And here it is. So we're in March 2026, and we're thinking that a rate cut is unlikely. And because we're holding steady,
That's too steady, Jacqueline. That's too steady. Good timing, though. I know you didn't plan that. I know you didn't plan that at all.
whether it's by text, by phone, or in person, because I coach for clarity. I don't correct. It's not about me correcting you. It's about finding and fixing opportunities to make space. So when you're looking for strategies for your mortgage money and you want to come out and see me speak on March 31st, I'm your mortgage honey.
Jacqueline, awesome. Just so you know, you got up. uh, at one point you said hold the rates, and then you literally froze. It's just perfect timing, though.
Well,
Perfect
yeah,
timing. Just like
it always
yeah,
is. It's like
that look. This is, oh my gosh.
it's the internet that says, don't talk about the interest rates like that, Jacqueline. Don't do that. But I will. I will have a conversation. And my last comment was have a conversation about what you want to do with your equity, or maybe you want to buy a new property.
Jacqueline, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next quick promo. Carl Richards has got something cooking on this Friday, and so it's all about if you want to be a guest on a podcast. He's going to start a new feature where he's going to help people find podcasts. I'm going to swing over to Kat next, and then Tony. Go ahead, Kat.
Hey, so Sam gave me an idea. He was talking about this fancy car in his pitch and how it's got all these different buttons that do all these kinds of things. Now, maybe it's a Canadian thing and I've never heard of half of these buttons, but the reason it kind of stuck in my head was how many of you have a product or service that has all these fancy little different features and opportunities like that car has that you don't talk about, that your customers have never heard of? And even if they do buy your product or service, they don't really understand what they're buying and they don't really know anything beyond what they've got. So they've got a tiny portion of your service or they use a tiny amount of your product, but they don't really understand the upsell and the power that they have in their hands. Those are the people I want to speak to so that I can educate people on your products and your services so that people actually can use all of your products and services and actually get value, because you guys have an incredible amount of value. Just a lot of it gets kind of hidden and lives on in your head, but sadly, your customers don't live in your head. So let me help you to get the information from your head to your clients. Thank you.
I like that. I don't know if I want someone renting space inside my head. That usually turns into another whole episode of oh no. Any BAMs or referrals, Kat?
I'm always talking to people, so probably.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The next quick promo is for next week's guest speaker at East Tradewinds, Pedja Randovic. He helps businesses connect tech systems and marketing for clear growth and lack of chaos. His internet might be more stable than mine. Who knows? Tony, what are you doing?
I'm doing great, Bernie. Tony Jennis from Higher Self. I'm the spirit guy of the group, and I love what I do because over a short period of time, we can certainly change the trajectory of how people are thinking and the focus that they're going through. The people I'm looking for now is one that is overwhelmingly like all over the place. They're confused, they're uncertain of where they need to go. Recently, I had a client that approached me. They're going through a very abusive relationship in their marriage, and she doesn't know what to do. And it's been going on for quite some time. So this person is just, as you can imagine, doesn't know how to do, what to do. There's been verbal, not so much physical abuse, but sometimes verbal is worse because it's harder to heal wounds that you don't see. But she came to me, and over the course of the last 3 weeks, things have changed massively. And it's not like you have changed the situation, but because of the guidance that Spirit has given her, she's starting to take her power back. And the various things that she was told to tell her spouse is now correcting it. And there's even more anger at certain times because now he has to make decisions. And she's not moving because the instructions that Spirit gave her was, if that's the way you're going to treat me, I'm going to be gone. Someday you're going to come home. He said, no, you're not. And anyway, but it goes back and forth. But the idea here is you're always in control. Once a person realizes that they're going to be losing the best thing that ever happened to them, they're going to start adjusting it, realizing that instead of always looking for fault in other people, everything seems to be starting with oneself, to introspective. So if you know somebody like that going through it, I'd be happy to have a chat with them and be able to start to bring them together. Or if that is the case, they'll be happier apart. But Spirit will always go to a very custom reading in the sense of what is the best thing for you. Tony Jennis from Higher Self, we are always here to raise your spirits. As far as BAMs go and business, I was at Bernie's East Trade Winds. I had a BAM with Kelly. Susan McGarry had some stuff with her. Eric is ongoing business with our accounting. There's some new stuff happening there. Josh also is I'm working on another part of our storage because we have to start backing up things, which we have been doing, but now we're doing it in a different way. And yeah, again, more things that you're going to learn. Penny Lee did her potluck last week, and that was wonderful. So yeah, so that's been my week so far.
Tony, you wild man, you. And you know what? If you have a wild moment, you want to share it, you want your clients into your head, so to speak, or at least to know where you're heading, reach out to Kat, so she can promote it in the social media fanfare that we push out through Phoenix Business Exchange, because that's kind of a handy space to be in. And also, if you need someone to sub in for you because you can't make a meeting, reach out to Mike Wazowski. He can be the stand-in for you and be your voice while you're not here. So that's kind of the handy piece. For myself, Creative Insight, Knack for Business podcast, Property Wizard podcast about commercial real estate investing, East Trade Winds, Canada Growth Network, a whole bunch of different things. What I do is all these are avenues or tools for cross-connecting people, introducing them, and provides just more than just a direct introduction. It also helps promote people. Some of the guest speakers for Canada Growth Network or East Trade Winds have been podcast guests, and it's kind of a good fit. So that's kind of the nature of the beast. Jacqueline, Carl, Tony were at the East Trade Winds, so thank you very much. I appreciate your time there. And hopefully you're getting bang for buck and having good market exposure. And I'm going to stop talking there because you know what? The next person going to be talking is the wonderful Wendy Chung. Wendy, the mic is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Bernie. Good morning, everyone, and happy Wednesday. I hope everyone's had a good start to the week. So I'm the real estate broker of this group. And I work with buyers, sellers, investors, landlords, and tenants. So everything related to housing or real estate, if you want. And this morning, I thought I would touch on a topic that we haven't discussed before, and that is the City of Ottawa's plan to create 15-minute neighborhoods or 15-minute cities within Ottawa. So let me just share my screen and let's get started.
You're up and running.
Can everyone see that?
You're up and running.
Excellent, thank you. So 15-minute cities and neighborhoods in Ottawa. This is not a new topic. This is something that other cities are also looking at doing. So the question would be, can people live in this way? Can people live within a 15-minute radius and have everything, all their essentials taken care of in their neighborhood in order for them not to have to travel very far in order for them to carry on living? So what is a 15-minute city? Daily essentials within a 15-minute walk or bike ride, groceries, schools, parks, healthcare, transit, work, cafes and restaurants, basic retail and services within that radius, meaning relying less on cars and hoping that people will be more connected and neighborhoods would be more of a mixed use type of environment. So Ottawa's policy direction, Ottawa's official plan, they plan over the next 25 years to, I guess, put this in place. And they have started in certain pocket areas of Ottawa. And so meaning that part of building this walkable and complete communities has already started, where transit, cycling, and growth is compacted. Long-term city planning approach is what they're doing. So here again, the City of Ottawa is implementing 15-minute neighborhoods through its official plan. And this is in an attempt to foster healthier, more sustainable, and equitable communities where residents can access daily needs within a short walk, cycle, or transit trip. This strategy aims to reduce car dependency, which should in turn reduce emissions, encourage densification over urban sprawl, lower infrastructure costs, and enhance quality of life. The initiative is a core component of the new official plan designed to guide development for the next 25 years. So the neighborhoods in Ottawa that are close to this model, I guess the one that is most is closest to this model would be in Hintonburg, where you have walkable shops, parks, and transit access. Centertown, as you know, in the downtown core, there's a lot of dense housing and nearby. But again, in Centertown, we also have a large group of homeless as well. So, you know, there's a lot of challenges involved in creating these types of neighborhoods. Many suburbs are not yet walkable and may never be. So I live in the East End in New Orleans. I know that, Tony, you live in the Canada area, right? So will these suburban areas become more walkable? I'm not really sure about that. So there are variations across the city that need to be looked at. What are the pros of having 15-minute neighborhoods? The first one is health and lifestyle. So there'll be more walking and biking, bicycles. Me personally, I do a lot of walking because I have a dog, but I don't cycle. I don't use public transit either. I rely on my car because of my business and my lifestyle. So my commuting time to visit my clients or to access services might be considered a little bit longer than other people. Again, another pro that the city is promoting is stronger community connections and better daily convenience. So another pro that the city is trying to instill in our minds is environmental and economic, where they're hoping that people will support more local businesses rather than the big box stores. So in that way, the household transportation costs should be reduced, and small businesses can hopefully thrive through this model that they're trying to promote. The cons and challenges of 15-minute neighborhoods is the infrastructure cost. As you know, everything costs money. So is it viable? That is a good question. The suburban car households where we're dependent on having our vehicles. So public transit is not really something that a lot of car-dependent lifestyles are going to change. You know, there's also a risk of rising property values, gentrification. So as people are living in certain neighborhoods, you know, will the property values go up? And when they do, is it affordable for new people to move into the neighborhood? There's also political and zoning complexities to consider as well. So points of discussion are, what counts as a daily essential? Because it's not the same for everyone. So what is the urban lifestyle versus the suburban lifestyle? Some people choose to live in the city because they don't want to have a car and they like to use transit or cycle or walk to all of their daily essentials. But people like myself, I prefer the urban lifestyle because I don't want to live in the urban communities of the city, because I find that I like the character and I like what's offered in suburbia. Another point of discussion is, can people move freely? You know, when these 15-minute cities or neighborhoods are created, or will there be restrictions where they disallow you to go further than 15 minutes from within your zone, I guess you can call it. Now, is the goal to increase options for people, or is it to really limit freedom? A 15-minute walk or bike ride, is that determined by an unfit 50-year-old or a fit 65-year-old? So how do we measure 15 minutes? It's different for everyone. How do we balance density with neighborhood characters? Will there be pushback from drivers? And the winter climate challenges are a real thing here in Ottawa. We've had a very severe winter so far where it's limited people from even going outside. So again, the question is it viable for Ottawa? Retrofitting suburbs is difficult. And can we rely on the LRT and buses? As we all know, the LRT in the city of Ottawa has many, many challenges. We hear it on the news every day. We know that commuters are having a challenge getting to work, getting to school, getting from place to place. Can full cities like Ottawa realistically rely on walking or cycling? What does the infrastructure cost look like? We already know that we are so stretched in our budget just to be able to pay for the rising cost of gas, the rising cost of groceries, you know, and we have to be able to access the services that we need within our own lifestyle. What does that look like for the city? And again, the money for the infrastructure is coming from taxpayers. Who benefits most financially with this 15-minute neighborhood model? And will affordability improve or worsen over time? So there are a ton of questions that we really need to consider when we think about what the city is wanting to implement. I'm just going to take a quick break and just let my dog in. So just a moment, please.
Okay, where's the music?
Just do a theme song.
Well, that's
Okay.
good.
Macho man.
I am back. I am back. So lots to think about. I mean, this is something that the city of Ottawa, not only the city of Ottawa, there's many cities across Canada that are pushing towards 15-minute cities. So my question to all of you is, being, you know, a citizen, being a taxpayer, what are your thoughts on this city planning?
I think from what there's some people get really upset about it, and I don't think it's just here in Ottawa, in different areas, because they think they're being told what to do. I know at the 15-minute circle, if you live downtown and you don't have a car, because the expense of owning a car downtown means then I got to do my groceries. How do I get to and from? Not necessarily a Costco, big purchases. But can I walk there? And is it healthier for me? It's more like a kind of an exercise piece. If you live out in the countryside, nothing's 15 minutes. Well, it is 15 minutes to travel, but that's okay. That's why you lived out in the countryside in the first place. You want that 15-minute buffer around you where no one's around you. So is there a particular demographic that's ideal for the 15-minute? Is it like the nuclear family, or is it extended family? What's the scoop? Who's the best profile for that?
Well, yeah. So I mean, I guess they're looking at a neighborhood like Hintonburg, for example, or the Westboro area. So I have clients that own and live in those areas, and they have everything that they need. Now, many of them do have cars, but they choose to walk or cycle because everything seems to be in their small little area. But that is the lifestyle that they want. But then they get to a point sometimes where they want to have more space. They want to have a yard, right? Or a little bit more property. So then they decide, okay, I would like to move to suburbia. And it's a completely different lifestyle. But when we look at these new communities that are being built very, very quickly, I don't know that there is enough infrastructure there where the cost of building, more grocery stores or a gym or cafes and restaurants is viable, because there's a lot of cost involved. And again, we've seen recently how a lot of local businesses and even restaurants, unfortunately, have closed because they don't get the traffic, because people don't have the expendable income that they used to, with the cost of living being so high. So again, all the money that's going into infrastructure has to come from taxpayers, but taxpayers are struggling. So, my question is that actually a good plan? Yes, there are pocket areas of Ottawa and other cities as well where maybe that lifestyle or that model could work, but not in suburbia. I do believe that we have to take that into consideration as well.
The one thing I've noticed here in Canada, it's mixed density. So you have, suburbia. I have a house, I have a yard, and which is awesome. And, not quite country lifestyle, but it gives you a hint of it. Then all of a sudden, within the same 10-kilometer block, you'll have little, an apartment building, which is, a little more intensified dwellings, right? So is there kind of a perfect balance then that you would see that, for your buyers? Because at the end of the day is, what are they experiencing? What do they want to experience? And understanding the infrastructure costs, that if you have more people per square foot, per square meter, that will balance out that infrastructure cost. It's you're still there's gonna be more people flushing the toilet and turning on the power, but they're compacted in one footprint versus, here in Canada, it's just the infrastructure I notice that where the pinch point is will be the roads, because I'm coming down on a 4-lane system here on Eagleson, and at the rush hour traffic, it's like, where did these guys all come from? And I'm being one of those guys, right? I was like, what the heck's going on? And you just need, traffic flow, right? So that gives you the biggest hint. And so you're looking for there are restaurants that are nearby. I had a good shawarma last night. That was, that was supper, right? So they've been in business for a while. So is there kind of a perfect blend when you're looking for a place to park somebody or look, not park them, but they're looking to buy? That's kind of a sweet spot between that. So they're not in a desert like downtown. Good luck finding a grocery store that hasn't been turned into a condo building.
Well, that's it, right? The affordability is a huge factor. I have a lot of first-time home buyers, and depending on their budget, I got to send them up to way beyond suburbia, and they just wouldn't be able to manage because they rely on public transit. So, the question would be, how do we solve it? Like, there's so many moving parts with this whole discussion, and whether it's viable in a city like ours, where we are in a snow belt, and it's very, very tough for people that, my street alone, for the longest time, it was a bus route. And as of last year, they decided to decommission the bus route completely. So commuters now have to walk either east or west to get to a bus, which is a longer walk for them. And then how often do those buses run? I'm not 100% sure, because I don't use public transit. So the question would be, how do we take the majority of people who are using public transit into account? Because people with cars, like, I rely on my car all the time. I don't take public transit, and I don't want to, because I'm scared that I won't get to where I'm going, and I don't even know how many times I have to change buses. And will the bus fall apart? And when the LRT, once the expansion is completed, oh my God, is it even running? Like, I hear stories from people all the time. I can't get to work. I can't get to class.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is it. Well, that's part of the concept of the 15-minute city is that everything is accessible.
Right.
When they start taking down the bus routes and trying to be cost effective, they're actually making less access to the public transit that they're trying to instill within that 15 minutes. So there has to be a little bit of a give if they're going to create these cities. It has to be access for everyone. So it's going to actually cost more.
Mm-hmm.
And but you can't have a person that says, okay, we got to cut 200,000 off our bus this year, and so they're looking at the routes that they can start cutting, but at the same time they're trying to get people to buy local and so on. And that's another thing, because as soon as people have a hard time in accessing, like if they have to walk like a kilometer, like my mom or your mom or whoever has to walk a kilometer, they're not going to do it. So what are they going to do? They're going to ask for somebody that could drive them. And they're not going to be driving that kilometer. They're going to go to Costco, or they're going to go outside so they can get things at whatever price.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's another thing. You had mentioned that people will buy more local. That's true. That is the intention. But the reality is, if somebody is going to a mama and papa store that sells fruits and vegetables, it's going to cost more.
Yes.
And that's as simple as that. Now, for myself, I will do that because I because of the situation that I'm in, I do have a little extra to spend on food, and I will if it's and I've done it. I buy farm fresh eggs from a guy in Kinburn who delivers it, and I do it every week. But I buy it for 3 families, for ourselves, my son, and so on. Okay, so so I buy local whenever I can. But some people don't have that extra income. They are on a very fixed income. So are you going to buy your groceries at maybe it might be 20% more at a local, or just get a ride with somebody, or get it because the big box stores are going to be a lot cheaper, or the supermarkets are going to be less expensive, right? So it's a type of thing that we have to have more money, more dollars in the hands of the people that are spending it, because then they will. You can't have, an economy that is constantly looking for, higher taxes and higher this or that, and then it makes a less buying power for some of the elders. And then at the same time, they can't get the bus. Things are more expensive. So they have to go where they can, and to make so that at the end of the month they can make ends meet. I know that's just a quick oversight of everything, but so that's why these 15-minute cities will cost more, and they have to build that in. If they want people to have access, then it's going to cost more. And so if they're okay with that, then there might be some workability there. But if you're having a person that's going to cut things as well, it's going to be more difficult. What do you think? Yeah. You're on mute there, Wendy. You're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, obviously, with every single discussion that we have. I just don't know that it's fiscally possible for a city like Ottawa to follow this model. Now, I know that in other parts of Ontario, it's massive as well, but again, because of the work I do, yesterday I was in Richmond, and I also traveled to Canada and Barrhaven. I love going to different areas because there are different specialty stores that I like to visit. I like to support local as often as I can. I have to travel sometimes half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour and a half. I'm okay with that, but what I'm thinking is with the 15-minute cities or neighborhoods that they're planning, are they going to be restricting us and saying, no, Wendy, you have to stay within your 15-minute area, because then, the model doesn't work. But again, why are you restricting me? Because I like a particular store that's an hour away and I'm going to be in that area anyway, so I would like to shop there. I like to buy from them because I know the owner and I want to support them, that sort of thing. It's just really more of a question, how are things going to look? Because obviously the city of Ottawa already has this in the official plan. So are they, how are they going to put this in motion in the next 25 years? What does that look like? Because already everyone's strapped for money. I don't know about you guys, but I just got my hydro bill and it's the highest it has ever been. I'm just like, I sent a text to my husband yesterday. I said, we turn everything off, turn everything off. I'm serious, but you know what? I'm lucky that I have the means to pay it. But when I look at that delivery cost from Hydro One, I just completely freak out because that's 50% of my bill is the delivery fee.
You're on Hydro One?
Yes,
Not,
I'm Hydro One.
not Ottawa Hydro? Oh, you see
No.
that's your first mistake right there.
I know, but
Should've
it's on
got
my. But I can't help it. I mean, there's no
I'm Wendy. I totally get it. Yeah, no. As soon as you said Hydro One, I'm like, oh yeah, because Ottawa Hydro. I'm looking at. I pay the tabs for the house, and I'm watching things go by, right? And I totally hear you. So, and if you had a pool running, or some other devices continually running, drawing a lot of energy, oh my gosh.
Right.
I just back to the 15-minute city. So I thought the concept behind the 15-minute thing is not to restrict your transit out of the space, because where that 15-minute bubble is, your work tends not to be in that space typically. Right? It's not like I live downtown and I work for the federal government and there's my building over there 3 blocks down. I can toddle off there, as opposed to so the transit still has to happen. You still have to motor out of that space. And if I think the biggest piece that we've observed here in for densification is, where are you going to park the car and where are you going to put the snow?
Right.
And,
That's
the
right.
one car garage, and that's more intensity. Now that's not 15-minute walking. That's design flaw, because
Yep.
I can tell you right now, I'm watching some places. If the person buys themselves a large SUV, like
Suburban.
yeah, I'm going.
Yep.
That's more
A
than your
Yukon.
driveway.
Yeah.
You're in the street, right? You have to park on your neighbor's lawn. It's a good way to keep the dog off, I guess. But it's like, yeah.
Well,
So
I've seen cars actually halfway into the sidewalk because they're so long. They're taking up. People have to walk around the bumper, but he's right on the. Anyway, it's.
So I think that's kind of a design flaw there. I mean, it's one thing if you don't have a vehicle. I lived out in Armpire, and back in the 90s, the guy, they're doing a municipal election. The guy says, "What would you like?" I said, what would you think would be? And just moved into Armpire. I said, it would be kind of good if you did light rail all the way up from Armpire. And I said, because I wouldn't kill my car driving to and from work. I mean, I live in Canada now. I wouldn't kill my car driving back and forth to work. So I have to have one vehicle that's fuel efficient and then another one for the family, so the family can fit in there. And the guy looks at me, he says, well, because they had all these trails, these train track trails that went to Ottawa. They turned them
Right.
into skidoo trails and walking trails. That's wonderful. But the Armpire is inside the county of Renfrew, which is economically depressed. So more people live there and they could actually transit, right? So to me, that's kind of like, you'll have more elbow room if you had a Suburban. I had a Sequoia once, so that's why I know the size of the vehicle matters, or the space to park it at least. But that's where I would find utility is leveraging what you already have, so you don't have to gut and build. But anyhow,
The other part of this, Wendy, is that there's a couple of cities in China that the 15-minute city is also a barrier. So if you want to drive, let's say outside, they will tell you whether they'll allow you to get out of that barrier. And so that's what I think. What also is telling, if this is 15 minutes, that's fine. But if it's actually concealing people, and when you get to the road, it's like a border passing. No, you can't leave. So you'll have to go back home. So I think another part of this is the restriction of freedom in that way. I mean, it should just be a guideline. It's 15 minutes. You have it all. The concept seems to be okay, but when you look at the reality, that why are they containing people? And this is only 1 or 2 cities, so I'm not saying the rest are doing the same, but people are comparing. I mean, it's an example where that this city has decided without any vote, without any referendum, that they're just going to put all the streets, and there's going to have these up and down whatever gates that they have at the border patrol, whether or not they'll let you go to the other side. So it's
Yeah, I think China's a different story than Canada.
it is, but it's still the 15-minute
Yeah, but
window.
the 15-minute concept is that I can have a resource, because if your grocery store happens to be in the East End and you live in the West End,
Yep.
you're not in the 15-minute bubble, you're in the 15-day bubble.
That's
You know,
right. Yeah, especially
right?
in traffic.
So
Yeah.
I think it's ease of access and what's there. I
Yeah.
think that's the design. I think where the flaws are is if you don't, the densification isn't there to support it, because you have
Yeah.
X number of people that have to do purchasing. What's convenient and
Yeah.
lifestyle. I tell you, if I live out in the countryside, 15 minutes to get to you would be fine. And I haven't got to the grocery store. That's a lifestyle choice. Whether I'm a farmer or I want to live out in the bush lot, right? Those are different things. So it's what you're. I think the 15-minute bubble per se is what's convenient for you to operate. And Wendy, I guarantee you, if I'm not a, I look at buses as more as that's a challenge to get around as opposed to ride it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And-
yes.
So
there are people there are people that go to Merrickville because there are some shops in there that isn't in any part of Ottawa.
That's right.
You
Yes.
know,
Special
but I like
people.
shopping there. Like I go there all the time. But it's also keeping that neighborhood supported. They're all mama and papa stores. You know, there isn't a big Costco there. Not that that the demographics will support it, but the point is you go there because you want handmade stuff, or you want things that are, the glass blowing. There's a glass blowing guy there, and he'll make you a bottle or a vase or something right in front of you, and I kind of like that. But where can you get that in Ottawa? I don't know. It's it's just a freedom of shopping, I guess, when it comes down to it. So.
Anyway, it's an ongoing topic. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just something for us to be aware of. I mean, it's happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, thanks everyone.
Yeah, that's a good topic, Wendy. Yeah, that was good.
So just close us off in a quote. Think like a wise man.